In the annals of crime, some names stand out, notable not for their cunning or their stealth, but for their sheer brutality. Such is the case with Gertrude Baniszewski. Gertrude was born into an environment of extreme poverty, a world where hardship was the norm and survival was the game. The second of 6 children, she was no stranger to the struggles of life from a tender age. The Baniszewski household was a cauldron of deprivation, a place where dreams were often smothered under the weight of reality. As she grew, Gertrude sought refuge in marriage, a decision she made at the tender age of 16. She married John Baniszewski, a man twice her age, and together they brought 7 children into the world. On the surface, it seemed like a normal family, but beneath the facade, it was a different story. The strain of raising 7 children, coupled with the economic hardships, took a toll on Gertrude. The cracks in her life began to widen, her marriage started faltering, and her mental health began to decline. The woman who was once a mother and a wife was slowly transforming into something much darker. Poverty, they say, can change a person, and for Gertrude it did. The daily struggle for survival, the incessant worry for the next meal, the constant fear of the unknown, all these factors began to chip away at her sanity. Her life was spiraling out of control, and so was she. But the story of Gertrude Baniszewski is not just about a woman driven to the edge by poverty and despair. It's about the chilling transformation of a mother into a monster. It's about a house that turned into a torture chamber, and about innocent lives that were forever scarred. Yet none of these challenges can justify the horror that was about to unfold. The story of Gertrude Baniszewski is a reminder that even in the most ordinary of circumstances, evil can lurk, waiting for the opportunity to rear its ugly head. The tale of the torture mother is about to begin. 1965, a year that would forever be etched in the memory of Indianapolis residents. A year that saw an unassuming house on East New York Street transform into a chilling abode of horror. This was the year when the Baniszewski household, led by the infamous Gertrude Baniszewski, became a living nightmare for 2 innocent girls, Sylvia and Jenny Likens. The story of how the Likens sisters ended up in this house of horrors begins with a seemingly harmless arrangement. Their parents, carnival workers, needed a safe place for their daughters to stay while they traveled for work. Gertrude, a mother of 7, agreed to take them in for $20 a week. Little did they know this decision would seal a tragic fate for their daughters. Initially, the Likens girls were treated no differently than the Baniszewski children. But as payments from the Likens parents came in late or were missed entirely, Gertrude's demeanor changed dramatically. What started as verbal abuse soon escalated. From the depths of despair, a voice arose, refusing to be silenced. That voice belonged to Jenny Likens, the younger sister of Sylvia. Even under the shadow of fear, Jenny found the courage to seek help, igniting the spark that would reveal the shocking reality of the Baniszewski household. In the face of unimaginable cruelty, Jenny Likens, a mere child of 15, displayed the kind of bravery that eludes many. She reached out to a family friend, revealing the horrors that she and her sister were subjected to. It was a desperate plea for help, a glimmer of hope in a world that had been shrouded in darkness for far too long. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors, who'd been oblivious to the nightmare unfolding next door, found themselves questioning how such atrocities could have occurred under their very noses. The Baniszewski household, once seen as just another family home, was now a house of horrors in the eyes of the community. The authorities were quick to act. Gertrude Baniszewski, the woman who had orchestrated this reign of terror, was arrested along with her children. The matriarch of madness, the torture mother, was finally in the hands of justice. Yet the arrest of Gertrude and her children did little to ease the horror of the situation. The community was left grappling with the chilling reality of what had transpired within the walls of the Baniszewski home. The magnitude of the abuse, the extent of the cruelty, was a bitter pill to swallow. Despite the darkness of the situation, Jenny's courage had ignited a beacon of hope. It was the beginning of the end of Gertrude's reign of terror. The veil of deception had been lifted, and the truth, as horrifying as it was, finally came to light. It was a turning point, a moment that marked the end of an era of fear and the beginning of a quest for justice. The wheels of justice began to turn. The courtroom was abuzz. the air thick with anticipation and dread. As the trial began, the atmosphere was electric. Everyone present could feel the weight of the atrocities committed by Gertrude Baniszewski. Her name was on everyone's lips, and the public's hunger for justice was palpable. Presiding over the trial was Judge Saul I Rab, a man known for his stern demeanor and his unyielding pursuit of justice. He listened intently as the prosecutor laid out the case against Gertrude Baniszewski, the woman now infamously known as the torture mother. The testimonies that followed were nothing short of harrowing. First on the stand was Jenny, Sylvia's younger sister. With a courage beyond her years, she recounted the terrifying events they had endured. She spoke of the relentless abuse, the dehumanization, and the ultimate demise of her sister. Her words sent shivers down the spines of those present, painting a vivid picture of a house of horrors. Next came the neighbors, each sharing their accounts of the chilling events they had witnessed. Their testimonies corroborated Jenny's account and further implicated Gertrude. The evidence was piling up and the defense was scrambling. As the defense took their turn, they tried to paint Gertrude as a woman driven to the brink by poverty and stress. They argued that she was a victim of her circumstances, forced to take drastic measures to maintain control over her unruly household. But the jury was not swayed. The shocking details of the case had gripped the nation. Newspapers, television broadcasts, and radio shows were all abuzz with the trial of the century. The public was appalled by the revelations, and they demanded justice for Sylvia. The prosecution presented their closing arguments, highlighting the horrifying nature of the crimes and the undeniable guilt of Gertrude Baniszewski. They appealed to the jury's sense of justice, urging them to deliver a verdict that would send a clear message to society. As the jury deliberated, the courtroom held its breath. The tension was palpable, the anticipation nearly unbearable. After what felt like an eternity, the jury returned. The foreman stood, a solemn look on his face, and delivered the verdict. Guilty. A collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom. Justice had been served. The heinous acts of Gertrude Baniszewski would not go unpunished. The gavel fell, and with it the fate of Gertrude Baniszewski was sealed. Gertrude Baniszewski, a name that would forever be synonymous with evil. As the gavel struck down and the verdict of first-degree murder was announced, a chilling hush fell over the courtroom. Baniszewski had been convicted, her reign of terror brought to an end. Yet the echoes of her horrifying deeds would continue to reverberate through the years, leaving a legacy of pain, fear, and resilience. Baniszewski's conviction was not just a victory for justice, but also a testament to the strength and courage of the survivors. The young Jenny Likens, who had endured unimaginable horrors, was a beacon of hope. Her courage in speaking out against Baniszewski, despite the fear and trauma, was a stark reminder that even in the face of monstrous evil, the human spirit can prevail. The impact of Baniszewski's actions on the community was profound. The house that once stood as a symbol of terror became a chilling reminder of the evil that can lurk behind the most ordinary facades. The community was left grappling with the reality of what had transpired within its midst, but also with a renewed sense of vigilance and a commitment to ensure the safety and well-being of every member. The legacy of Gertrude Baniszewski is a cautionary tale about the depths to which humanity can sink when empathy and morality are cast aside. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance, of looking out for one another, and of speaking up when we see something amiss. Despite the darkness of her deeds, there is a glimmer of hope in the lessons learned from this tragic incident. It's a call to action for us all to be more aware, more compassionate, and more protective of those around us. It's a reminder that we have the power to prevent such atrocities, to stand up against evil, and to ensure that history does not repeat itself. In the face of unspeakable evil, may we never forget the courage of a young girl named Jenny Likens, and the horrifying story that unfolded in the house of Gertrude Baniszewski.